All right. I think we're ready to kick it off. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the main system. This is Space from the Deep, episode 21. I think I have everybody that we need up here. So I'm just going to get a quick mic check, make sure we all got everybody coming through. No zaps, no rugs, no nothing. How we doing, Jake? Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. No nothing, no zaps. We're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, I had a quick question and a request. My mic level has been a little funny. Do I sound loud enough, or should I pump the juice on my system?
You sound great. Yeah, you're perfect. You're great.
Clear and silky.
Muonic.
Amazing. Muonic, baby.
Muonic. What's up, Rain?
Bro. Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I was talking a little bit to Ebert prior. You know, now that our shows are on YouTube, I went back and I listened to the most recent one. And again, you know, I was a little bit in a lull, and I communicated that, you know, and the moon bounce and all that stuff is super helpful and nice. But I counted and I said, you know, like I was like, yeah, you know, and so like you know, and you know, we're about to do this, and you know, I said it probably 100 times, 100 fucking times. So I'm not going to say that a single time today. I was off my game, but I came to play, and I'm going to pop off. I'm going to pop the fuck off today. All right, we're back.
Should have put it through like some sort of a generator, something that can listen to you and tell you how many times you said it. It's funny. I think that we're always so self-critical, though. That's what I was telling you, Rain. I was like, I mean, I don't notice these things. I probably say, I say a lot because I have to listen back to these clips a lot because I re-edit them and I bring them back into the edit and I cut them for YouTube. And then, you know, I think I say like maybe 6,000 times per episode. So it's all good in the hood. It's all good.
You know. It's all good, right?
Our tropes.
It takes a ton of work to get that feedback of yourself too. Like I used to do interviews, and I had a clicking noise I would used to make for whatever reason. I have no idea why. I would just do it. It was an autonomic response where I would answer a question. I'd go like, and you would barely hear it, but the PR firm that I retained lit me on fire. And they were like, listen to this. How many times do you click this? I'm like, okay, cool, got it, thanks. Old dogs can learn new tricks. Right on. So, Ray, it takes courage, man. Like, you're doing great. We're doing great. It could be something in the energetic field. Could be something where we are now. Who knows? But what's most important is we're here now. We made it.
I love it. I
was listening to I love the podcast Tetragrammaton. If you guys have ever listened to Rick
podcast. Yes.
And I was listening to a guy that I've been following for a while. His name is Paul Saladino. He's like a carnivore guy. Like he's big into like, you know, clean eating, and he's an MD. He's a pretty smart guy. But his articulation is almost so accurate. It doesn't even sound like a human being. So I think that, like, I thought that I was listening to like an AI episode. I'm not even kidding. So I think that the imperfections, the ums, the you knows, the I don't knows, the click, guaddle stop, click claps, I think it's all beautiful. I think it's all part of it. I think you have to have part of it to add a little human chaos into it. And that's what makes it human. So I'm all good. Rain, I know you had a couple things that you wanted to dive into, but before we jump in, I don't know if he's on here, Rico. But we did a birdathon this morning. It was a pretty fast birdathon. It was in the form of a haiku, and it was about the Kenneth Arnold incident, which was really in the U.S. the first recorded UFO encounter that we have that is disclosed to the public. I know that there are probably earlier ones, but this one was right near Mount Rainier, which is actually pretty close to where Jake is, I think. And this, you know, I think he was a Air Force pilot, saw 9 shapes. Basically, he called them like skipping stones, just dancing right, going toward Mount Rainier. And they were going what he thinks, I think, was 1,200 miles an hour, which is pretty freaking fast. So that was a good one. This guy, Rico, got it. I've never met Rico before, but I don't know if he's on Space from the Deep. If you guys are in the TG, tag him up, get him on Space from the Deep, tell him what he's missing out on. But he won our Ebert Birdathon prize. Other than that, I have a couple other little things to announce, but I'm going to save them for a little later in the episode. I wanted to give Rain the stage, kind of take a little bit of a backseat at the beginning here and let things unfold and kind of dive in as it seems fit. So, Rain, without further ado, if you wanted to take over, let us know what you're thinking. I'm curious as to what you want to cook up, but the mic is yours. Cook and have a good time, and I'll be here if you need me.
Oh my gosh. I'm honored. I'm honored. There's a lot. There's a lot I want to talk about. And the premise of this today is I really want to focus on film. Okay. There's a lot of stuff with film. There's something I can't say that I saw from potentially something in-house, winkety wink, 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 that really ignited my excitement for film and everything oriented with it, alongside, of course, Ebert. And there's just a lot. There's a lot going on in the film industry, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we do that, we got to start off with a story, a good, funny, wholesome, wild story that no one's going to believe. All my stories are true. I've lived a crazy life with some wild experiences. So I'm going to go back to a little bit what we were talking about initially, kind of with the public speaking stuff, right? We're like, like I said 100 times. And I was like, what the fuck? Okay. So, the Jake's talking about the click noise he used to do. And Ebert's talking about how he says a lot. And I agree. It's actually, so something interesting is there's a reason I curse specifically in spaces, which might seem like it's, there's all these theories, right? It's like, oh, the more you curse, it's, it shows a lack of intelligence and lack of vocabulary. And in my opinion, and there's actually disputes and debates, blah, blah. I'm not going to dive into that. Where like, if you curse more, you're more intelligent. I don't know who the fuck made that up. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But I'm going to get to the bottom line here. All right. So when I was in college, I had a public speaking class. All right. And I was so excited because, I'd never done any like actual public speaking stuff, but like, I've done rap battles and shows, performances and, streams and stuff. This when I was a lot younger too. And I was like, all right, I'm going to knock this out of the park. This is going to be phenomenal. And so I had a teacher. Her name was, or professor, apologies. Her name was Miss Campbell. All right. Great lady, amazing lady. All right. But she was old as fuck. She was like pushing 92, being a professor. So shout out to her, for doing that. It was actually sad. She did it because her husband passed away. And so she was lonely and they never had kids or anything. So basically she just like, being in a community, right? Quote unquote, right? Having students, people she could talk to, etc. But so this is where it gets funny. So we go up, basically end of the year, you have to do a big public speech presentation, right? You have a topic and you got to go up there and you talk. Now, some of the rules were for point deductions, where if you didn't maintain eye contact with the audience, that was a point deduction. You lost 1 point out of 100 for every time you said the word or if you said
I would have been
or if
done.
you said but, or basically anything that was just like a filler word. Okay. Let's just say I bombed it. I bombed that motherfucker. All right. I absolutely bombed that bitch. I said so many times. I got a zero. Now, mind you, my speech was incredible and it was phenomenal. Everyone loved it. It was very entertaining, very good. The class also graded it as well on your speech. And so the whole class gave me 50 students gave me anywhere from a 95 to 100. But she gave me a zero. So this is where it gets good. So at the end of class, I'm like, fuck me, dude. Like I cannot, because I played college ball, right? So eligibility is a big thing. Like you can't fail a class, or else you can't play. And I started and traveled. So if I failed this class, basically I was screwed. All right. My scholarship, all that stuff was tied to it. So I'm sitting in the class. I wait for everyone to leave. Okay. Now remember, Miss Campbell is kind of deaf. No, not kind of. She's really fucking deaf. All right. She's 92. She's old. She's fucking old. So I'm sitting in class, waiting for everybody to leave so I can go talk to her in the class. And she doesn't know that I'm there. And so once everybody leaves, I say, hey, Miss Campbell, can we talk? She doesn't acknowledge me, doesn't look at me, doesn't hear me. Right. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just stand up and I'll walk up and go up to her. And right before I go to stand up, I kid you not, she rips the loudest fucking fart I've heard in my time. I'm talking like a just loud as fuck. And she doesn't know I'm there. She doesn't know I'm there. So now I'm sitting in the back of the class. I'm the only one in there. And I'm like, fuck. Do I like sneak out? And I'm like, well, I can't sneak out because I have to make sure I get a good grade. I have to talk to her. But if I go up and talk to her, she's going to know I heard this loud ass fucking fart. So I'm like kind of stuck in limbo. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to like, so like, I'm going to put my headphones in because I had headphones. And then I'm going to walk up to her and then take my headphones out. So maybe she subliminally like thinks that I didn't hear her just rip ass, you know, in the most catastrophic earthquake style ass ripping I've ever heard. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Put my headphones in. I get up, walk slowly. I take about 3 steps towards the front of the class. It's about 30 feet away. And she's like stacking paper, standing up. And she just looks at me, eyes wide, making eye contact. And I freeze. I stop moving. And it's about a 5 seconds of just us locking eyes. She knows that I heard her. I know that I heard her. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta commit. I gotta commit. And so she goes, Rain, did you hear something like a loud crack or creak in the class or something like that? And I'm like, yes, Miss Campbell, you know, it's an old building. It sounded like a very long, you know, Wayne. Like I think there was like somebody at the door. They went to close it or whatever, and it just made like a loud. And I tried to make it sound just like her fart. And I was like, you know, it was a loud, like kind of like a. It was kind of like that, you know. And she's like, oh my gosh, I thought I heard that too. And as I walk up closer to her, it just fucking reeks and smells. But I can't make a face. I can't make a face because I'm committed. I'm committed to the lie right now. Okay, I'm committed. So I get to her, I go, Miss Campbell. I'm like gagging. I'm like, Miss Campbell. I think she shit her pants. All right. I'm like, start coughing. I'm like, Miss Campbell, my eyes are watering. You know, let's just cut to the chase here. You know, I really need to pass this class. I really need it. And, you know, for public speaking as a whole, you know, I think I did a really good job. So then she says, yes, but she said, I'm a lot. And I said, well, now I'm getting mad. And I go, well, Miss Campbell, you know, if we want a grade on public speaking, I think it would probably be really good, you know, to not be in a position to where people can view you and see you to, you know, release a giant fart. She looks at me. She looks at me dead knocks. I'm all in. I'm fucking all in. I'm like, I got to go to war now. I try to be nice. Can't be nice. She doesn't say anything. And she goes, well, Rain, I'll tell you what. If the majority of the grades are higher than my grade, I will take the average of the grades from them and disassociate my grade. Is that fair? And she goes, you know what? People have public flatulence all the time. And I go, you're right. I go, you're right. You're right. I go, 100%. Thank you, Miss Campbell. I appreciate you, Miss Campbell. You know, thank you so much. Left, ended up getting 100 on the fucking final. And I was like, God damn, Miss Campbell. And then like kind of sad, actually really sad. She ended up like dying like 2 weeks later.
2 weeks?
Yeah, which was fucked. So like,
oh no,
I kind of had a theory, you know,
that
like
took such a turn.
Yeah, like maybe like her ripping ass was like, it was bad. It was just a whole very bad scenario, but I passed and everything went well. But it was crazy. It was fucking crazy, man. So yeah, that was the first story I wanted to talk about public speaking right there. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I fart all the time on Spaces. Just so you guys know, I rip them. That's what. If you ever see me do this, quick little mute. That's a fart.
Let it fly.
That's a total fart.
The beauty of Space.
I have God bless her. I think that and rest in peace. Rest in peace. You know, her last gift was 100 to you, for you too, which is.
I was so grateful.
I think also the fact that she referred to it as public flatulence is also just it's a sign of the times.
Proper, bro.
I had to unmute myself too, just because you need to hear that there are people cackling, laughing in the background. Because I think that fart humor it's the thing that. So my little Bert is 10 months old, and she thinks that farting is hilarious. She thinks that farting is the funniest thing, and she doesn't know what farting is. She doesn't know. No one has told her or explained what farting is. She just thinks that it's funny. So I think that I always say you have to laugh at the things that make you human. And I think the foundation of humor, the funniest joke in the world is a fart. It's a fart because babies who have no idea what comedy is laugh and they think that farts are hilarious. So that's my theory about. I think that fart humor is so funny. I've always thought it was funny, just because I love like dry British humor too. But it's hysterical.
It's a
So
lost art. It's a lost
it's a
art.
lost art.
It
It
needs to
really, yeah,
come
the
back.
timing of them. I mean, it is a funny noise that we were designed with. That is kind of, I think it was designed that way just to give us some joy.
It
It's
has
just to
to
give us
be.
a good laugh.
It has to be.
You can't not. The babies laugh at it. That's how you know.
That's true. The innocence. The innocence in it.
innocence.
You're right.
They don't know
You're
what stand-up
right.
comedy is. They're not watching like stand-up shows and shit. Like they just know what's funny and what's not.
Okay. Now, are you ready for my next like kind of thing to dive into?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Film. Now this one's this is pretty funny. This is actually really it's not funny. I don't fucking know. I think it's fucking funny. Okay, so film, movies that are coming out, man. Exciting stuff. We're getting like new content. It's finally happening. The first one I want to talk about too. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but The Toxic Avenger. It's getting a reboot. If you have never seen like the original Toxic Avenger stuff, it's comical because like basically it's like this little mutant goblin looking motherfucker who like think of like a 1970s over the top, just really shitty costumes. Okay, just really bad costumes. Like, and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, this guy doesn't have any powers, and like bad special effects and shit, blah blah blah. But this is where I think it's kind of funny. Okay, it's like again, I said they're like little people, right? Little people. So the Toxic Avenger, they announced their starring cast, in the reboot for it, and these are the two stars of the Toxic Avenger. You ready? Tell me you're ready, Bert. You're gonna love it. You're gonna fucking love it.
I broke the rules, but I'm ready.
All right. So the first one is Peter Dinklage. If you don't know who Peter Dinklage is, it's Lord Tyrion. All right, from Game of Thrones, or the boss from Elf. You know, one of the greatest actors ever. I actually used to get in trouble with my wife a lot when we watched Game of Thrones. You know, she'd be like, "What do you want to do tonight?" While we were watching it, and I'd be like, "I want horse and wine, more horse and wine." And she'd be like, "Rain, come on, be serious." I'm like, "Wine and horse, we need them now. What are they? More wine and horse." So that's the first person in it. You ready for number two? Ready for number fucking two?
Hit it.
Elijah Wood. Frodo fucking Baggins.
Frodo,
So
wait, I missed that one. Okay, I looked
we're
it
getting
up.
Frodo Baggins and Lord Tyrion starring as the little mutants of the Toxic Avengers, and I cannot be more fucking excited.
Oh,
I cannot be more fucking excited.
Wait, did this already come out, or is it not? It hasn't come out yet.
It comes out, I believe, August 29th in theaters. But so like, you know, Rotten Tomatoes, because Rotten Tomatoes gave it 92%, but they like get the pre-screening, all that, you know, you're in the film shit. They get the pre-screening stuff. So yeah, in theaters, August 2025, August 29th, Lord Tyrion, Frodo Baggins, The Toxic Avengers.
Oh wow. Good drop. Good. I'm marking it. I'm marking it. Wait, okay. So that's a really good drop. But I asked this question in the TG I think a couple days ago. But Rain, I'm curious because I haven't talked to you about this. What are your thoughts about Honora and Flo winning Best Features this year? Like that's a $3.5 million animated feature film and a $6 million live action feature from Sean, who's like an indie director from New York.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's just like political craziness, or do you think that there's like, I mean, these were actually great films? Like, I didn't see. I watched Flow. Flow was amazing. I didn't see Inside Out 2 or the comps that it was up against, but I could see why it would win. But I didn't see Honora. I've only seen the trailer, and it kind of looks pretty wild. What do you think?
So I've seen both, and it makes me very happy because I think it shows that like even the critics at this point are just so tired of unoriginality, you know, films and sequels and reboots and like, you know, Inside Out 2, like this is no offense to anyone, okay, but like I watched Inside Out 1, I thought it was great. Inside Out 2, you know, there's no way to sugarcoat this, but super fucking woke. And I think that even the industry, the people in the industry are tired of the unoriginality and all the woke shit that is just forced down our throats. And like Flo and Nora, they don't do that. Like it's just a fucking film. It's just a fucking film with a completely original, new, unique take. And it's a good film. It's a good film. And I think the reason that they won, and nothing against these films, at all, because they're good films, but like their competition is shit. And I love this because I love that they won because I remember I was talking about like in probably like a month ago. I was I was kind of like in limbo, and I was like, dude, I'm so tired of us not getting a good fucking movie. Like, where are the original movies? Where is something that isn't a live action remake or a sequel that nobody fucking asked for? Like, where's the original films, doing something that hasn't been done before, right? In bringing at least some sort of new style or unique concept into, into the ethos. And what I saw with Flo that was super interesting is after Flo won, I don't know if you saw this or not, Bert, but after Flo won, he actually that guy, he made like a short animation of Flo receiving the award. And there was kind of a debate about it, but basically the cat got, because if you don't know Flo, it's about a cat. All right, that's long story short without diving into everything. It's about a cat. The cat got the award, like given to him on a table, and he knocks the award off the table as a cat would. Cats love knocking shit off tables. Knocks it off the table into a trash can. And so people are like, oh, is he dissing the reward? Is he like saying he doesn't give a fuck? He just want to make a good film? Or are people saying, no, he's just being a cat. The cat would knock shit off the table. So I'm right there with you 1,000%, bro. I think they won because they made something original. They didn't inject a bunch of woke bullshit or a political agenda into it. They just focused on making a good fucking film. A good fucking film, which is all that people want. It's just a damn good film. Something fucking even semi-original. People get excited for. That's my take.
Nope, that's exactly the way that I feel about it. And it's, again, I keep using like the budget figures to kind of like just hammer home the point that the resources that they have at their disposal is actually not as important as what comes out on the others. Like what's up on the screen is the most important part. And I think that very, very early on when we were talking about Ebert, we were kind of introducing Ebert to the public. The reason that I'm here is really one of the reasons that this Latvian director did so many things on his own. Because of the narratives that find their way into the big budget movies, constantly find their way into the big budget movies. Because I think one of the reasons is you have these big teams of people, ultimately and almost inevitably within those big teams of people, there's going to be people who want to see politics and kind of geopolitical influence and narratives kind of find its way into media because they think that media is the way that you can kind of share messages and teach people about your point of view. I think that it's, and for me, that's the thing that actually, it didn't scare me away from wanting to go the traditional route, but it also pushed me away from it like pretty strongly. Like, well, I have no interest in allowing woke culture to find its way into what Ebert is doing, right? There's literally, and if we did, you'd know that it was forced in there, and that for me is trying to push a square peg through a round hole. Like, it really doesn't make any sense. And I think that, I don't think that anything is intentional too. I think that the little short that he made where the Oscar goes into the garbage is very much a message toward the Academy that says this doesn't actually matter. What matters is the film itself and what the film is saying. And I think that that's the beautiful part of it. I also think that Anora, I've seen Tangerine, I've seen Florida Project, so I'm familiar with his films. I didn't see Anora yet. It's hard to get access to things down here, but I think that I was going to ask a couple people for a screener to see if I can grab it, but it won the Palme d'Or. Like, Palme d'Or, is one of the highest accolades in film, almost beyond getting an Oscar for some directors, for a lot of directors. And I think that with Sean's films, he almost wants to work within limitations. And I think that working within limitations and working with a really small budget is actually a really good thing for creativity. It forces you to find creative solutions for telling your story. And I think that all of his films, if you guys have never seen Tangerine, I mean, it was all filmed on iPhones. The entire thing was filmed on iPhones, purposefully filmed on iPhones. And they were like early version iPhone like 5s, or something ridiculous like that. And it was a banging movie. So I think that you can do so much. Like Ingmar Bergman is a perfect example of someone who does so much with so little. And I think that with Ebert, like, again, just to try to tie it back, like there are a lot of you in this room who have seen our like the first 2 minutes of what our proof of concept film will be. It's going to be kind of a piece that we use to fundraise, to build some sort of a runway for ourselves so we can continue to make what we want to make, to continue to scale, because we're kind of at this fork in the road, right, where we can either scale or I can continue to bootstrap, and we need to scale in the best way possible. So I think that there's a lot of updates and a lot of big things that we have to share. And I also think that part of what we have to share, it relates to our vision. And our vision is only possible in this kind of independent, self-started way. And that's what you see with some of these directors who are kind of earning these huge accolades in Hollywood, kind of sticking it to Hollywood and being rewarded by Hollywood in the process, which is, for me, it's a really exciting thing to see. Coming from that industry and being super disenchanted by how much woke culture found its way into the movies that were being funded. So yeah, Inside Out 2, it cost $200 million to make, and it said a lot of nothing, in my opinion. It's all stuff that we've heard, the monotonous like banterings of woke culture kind of finding its way into the media. We've heard it, we know it, we've heard it, we're sick of hearing it. And it's not that we disagree with what they're saying. There's no reason to let those unless the film is like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like Come and See, or if you've seen some of like, the old Soviet war movies that are like really shocking, but have a lot to say about war and have a lot to say about, the terror of war. Like if you watch Thin Red Line, it's a Terrence Malick film, like, man, like that's a very strong commentary on war. And it also tells you how terrifying and shows you how terrifying war can be. And I think that has, geopolitical, political influence into the movie intentionally. Instead, you have this, you have a group of characters in Inside Out 2 who are supposed to represent the emotions. And all of a sudden you're hearing stuff about, LGBTQ plus whatever, and all this other stuff. And it's just like, I didn't know that was a part of this. I didn't know that I was signing up for that when I bought my ticket at the box office. So I'm hyped. I dropped this into the Telegram a couple days ago to see if everyone else was hyped, and I'm not surprised at all that you're hyped, Rain, because you're a cinephile like me. But Jake, what do you think about this?
Oh man, I think you already covered it. I don't know what else I can add value into. So
I'm sorry. I went.
No, it was.
I got another one for Jake.
Oh God, what's up? What you got, Rain?
If that helps. Okay, I'll set the stage, Jake, because I really want your thoughts on this. Okay. So yeah, Ebert's 100% right. So there's another film. Now, this is probably the most anticipated film, maybe fucking ever. Okay. And there's multiple reasons why. All right. So before I say anything, I'm going to paint the scene a little bit. Christopher Nolan. All right. Christopher Nolan. If you don't know Christopher Nolan, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life. All right. You got Interstellar. You got The Dark Knight. You got Inception.
I got you.
The list goes on and on, right? Okay. So Christopher Nolan is directing the movie The Odyssey, right? Based on Greek mythology. If everyone doesn't know the whole story of The Odyssey, just do like a Google search. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. But the cast that he has is fucking nuts. Absolutely fucking nuts. And so I'm going to get into the question in a second, because there's a lot of debate about this upcoming film. But I'm just going to list the actors and actresses that are already listed in this film, okay? It's going to blow your fucking mind. You ready?
Go for it.
Okay, here we go. The cast of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey stars the following: Tom Holland, Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, John Bernthal, Elliot Page, Himesh Patel, John Leguizamo, and Benny Safdie.
They got Benny.
Right? Yeah, it's just fucking star-studded cast. Now, Jake, I'm going to bring up kind of the debate, the thing that people are upset about this. And I want your thoughts on the movie. You can talk about whatever you want, but I want to give you a little guidance here on maybe something you could start with, okay?
Go for it.
So the big debate here, why people are upset, and there's already people, it's basically split in half. There's a large amount of people that are like, holy fuck, yes, finally, we're getting a really good film with a star-studded cast, and fucking Christopher Nolan, holy shit, let's go. Then there's another group that's like, this is bullshit. None of these actors or actresses are actually Greek. You know, only Greek people should be able to depict, you know, the Odyssey and its historical value to Greek mythology, da-da-da-da. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's easy. Oh, super easy. Yeah, it's a good question. Super easy. It's the former. I don't give a damn about the ethnic origins to produce a great film. I mean, you know, we have some of the best sci-fi, you know, cinema out in history. Are they made for aliens? I think maybe. I don't know. Hell, Chris Nolan's probably an alien. But you got my point. So, you know, on the flip side too, let me ask you this question. I'll throw it back at you and phrase it this way to really concrete the answer that I'm giving. But before I do that, I do want to shout out some awesome people in the space. Chris Vaughn, it's good seeing you, buddy. Haven't seen you in a year, maybe a little longer. So I will. I'd love to ping you later and say hello to you, man. It's been a long time. Good to see you, JP. I love all the HBs down in there that I'm seeing as well. Jim's on base. Thanks for joining in. HG, obviously, you're a legend. So, Bit Boko, good seeing you, man. Sean Cry, see you down there. Let me phrase it this way, Rain. The oldest that we know of, which very well could be changed, right, with the new archaeological discovery. The oldest literature we have found and discovered on Earth is the story of Gilgamesh, ancient Babylonian book. It's a beautiful book, very short read, by the way. If you haven't read the Epic of Gilgamesh, as best we can get to its original translations, I would recommend it. It's really it's a love story. Not quite as creative as the Odyssey. You know, Greek really brought modern philosophy into the picture of the world in their literature. You know, Sumerians brought astronomy into the world. Babylonians brought really the inception of what we would even think of as written language into the world. And so in the Epic of Gilgamesh, story about a creator god, it's a love story. And, you know, essentially the god can't die and he gets really lonely and falls in love to figure out a way to, you know, cheat time, which is really special. But I want to throw it back at you like this. If we were to make a movie about the Epic of Gilgamesh, would we want to have legit Babylonians? Which, by the way, they don't exist. You know, so, you know, that's kind of where I'm going with right here. Do we want to have, I mean, yes, we can have descendants of Iraqi and, you know, Saudi descents and could play the movie. I'm sure there would be Babylonian ancestral in there, but like true, I don't know, I'll use Game of Thrones, because I'm rewatching it right now, actually. But like, you know, do you want a true highborn, you know, with Babylonian DNA 100% that would be playing in this movie? Or would you rather have Chris Nolan direct it?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good fucking point. I'm in agreement 100%. 100%. It's like, you know, because I had to delete my tweets just because it was getting a little intense. But I got about a week ago, I got in a debate with a guy kind of on something similar. Actually, it was about the Odyssey. It was on like discussing film or something. And I was like, I brought up Django and Leonardo DiCaprio's role as a plantation owner in Django. And I was like, so you're saying like Leonardo DiCaprio did a bad job, or like you'd rather have like a real plantation owner that has real slaves today, you know, depicting this role? Like, is that what needs to be done?
Yeah.
And yeah, then they're like, oh, so you think we should have slaves to be there should be no slaves.
And welcome to Twitter hell. Good job.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa, hold on, hold the fuck on, man. No need for slaves, man. I'm just saying.
They got to fart more.
Out of the park.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
They got to fart more.
Exactly. So, Bert, I do want to ask you this from like a high level director. kind of mindset too. Is it dangerous having a film with this many notable fucking actors, this, prolific of a story, which is the Odyssey and the historical relevance of it, and having obviously a director like Christopher Nolan attached to it? Like, is the pressure, like, honestly, like, in my opinion, I feel like if this is not literally one of the best films, if not the best film in the past 20 years made, I mean, I think people are going to see it as a failure. And so, like, how do you navigate that? Like,
Yeah,
how do you navigate that?
it's so interesting because we're on completely the other side of the spectrum that we were just talking about with the two films that just won Best Features at the Oscars, right? So I mean, I saw Troy, and like I thought that Troy was like a Homer, like Homer wrote Troy as well. So I dug Troy when I was younger. I was like wanted to be Brad Pitt, jumping up and slicing people in half and shit. I thought it was amazing, but like I think what I think what's happening with Chris Nolan is he's almost becoming a little bit of like a reincarnation of Kubrick. I think that as Kubrick got older, everybody wanted to work with Kubrick. Like it was just like you have to work with Stanley Kubrick before he dies, right? It just became like holy. It was like a bucket list item for every actor to get into a Kubrick film. And you kind of saw like as he grew, like the Shelley Duvals and the Jack Nicholsons of the world started finding their way into his films, and he was still very particular about who he casted. But I think that you're starting to see a lot of that cachet with Chris Nolan films as well. Terrence Malick films are the same, just because they stand kind of in a world of their own. Actors want to act in, they want to work with Terrence Malick. It's just it's a bucket list item. It's something that they want to do before, just in there. It's a career milestone for people. And I think that Chris Nolan's films are very similar. His visions are so big. What he does in scale is gigantic. The guy shoots on 70 millimeter film. Nobody does that. He shoots in 70 mil. Like that's the size of the film mag to actually shoot in 70 mil is gigantic. The just the amount of weight and logistics alone, and in the conditions that they're shooting in, like when they did Dunkirk in 70 millimeter on a beach. Do you know how fucking hard that is with the humidity of the water? With like, it's just like he does things that no one else is willing to do. And for that reason, he has a line of some of the best A-list actors in the business who are lining up to work with him. And I think that when you look at this cast that is going to be in the Odyssey, Rob Pattinson, Benny, like Benny was in Benny was in Oppenheimer. So it's like, he still does kind of have this troupe of people like Kubrick did, right? So you really do see like, yeah, there are some outliers here, but you've seen you've seen Matt Damon in Interstellar. You saw I don't know if Rob Pattinson has been in a Nolan film before, but Benny, and like you're starting to see some repeat customers. And I think that it's just, yeah, like his stuff is just getting so big because he's also carrying like the weight of the industry on his shoulders, because he's like the guy that has the big vision that is kind of doing it his way, just like Kubrick did. And like is still getting the Hollywood funding that people like, Francis Ford Coppola had to fight for tooth and nail for, like The Godfather. The guy almost got fired like 3 times on The Godfather, I just learned. But Nolan is the same. His budgets are humongous. His visions are huge. These film takes years to make. And they do everything practical. Like they crashed a plane into a building in Tenet. So like, what actor wouldn't want to be on that set? So I think that, yes, Rain, like we have this expectation that is forming around these gigantic films that he's coming out with. To be honest, I don't think Oppenheimer really met the quota. That I think that most people were like really psyched about Oppenheimer. And I think that I loved Oppenheimer for certain reasons, but I also disliked it for others. And I think that his films have started to get a little bit more polarizing as he's getting older. Like Tenet was also a very polarizing film. The amount of people that I talked to who were like, I couldn't hear what anyone was saying. And I was over there arguing like the dialogue doesn't matter as much because it's kind of part of the sound design, right? So like his films have been polarizing audiences really for a long time. And I think that this will probably do the same. But I just think that the visions stay large, and he's kind of becoming like our generation's Kubrick in a way, I think. Again, not comparing his style, not comparing the films in any way, but if you've seen 2001, that was a grand vision, a very grand vision for 1968. So, Chris Nolan has echoes of that. And I think it's a really cool thing to see that you have, someone making a $6 million feature about a prostitute in Queens winning an Oscar. And then you have Chris Nolan shooting on 70 mil, making $150 million movies or more. And you have the whole spectrum. And I didn't know that Odyssey was like slated for 2026. I thought this was like years away. But they move quickly. And now they've kind of gotten it down to a science. And I think it's great. And I think that if you have a polarized audience, that means that the film is successful. That means that the film will stand the test of time.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. I got my last one. I got my last one here. And then whatever we want to go with. Now this one pulls a little bit at the heartstrings. And Bert, I do want to say thank you for like the very technical breakdown too of like the film. Like I didn't know what any of the fuck that meant. I had no idea what it meant. The way you explained it, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Thank you for that. I have no idea what you just said.
No, I get it. Like the whole like the Dunkirk analogy with the film and shit. I was like, okay, that makes sense. That makes crazy sense. Shit. Okay. So the last one, a movie. This is hard for me because you guys know everything I do, I only advocate for shit that I've seen and I trust and I love. I've not seen this film yet. I have to see this film, but I'm going to ask everyone to see this film. There's one reason why. Okay. There's a film that is in theaters right now. It's got no fucking marketing around it. Okay. But it's almost like a CTO, community takeover. Okay. So it's by Warner Brothers and it is the new Looney Tunes film. Okay. Called The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Now, I'll explain why this film is so important, okay? I grew up watching Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry. You want to feel old? Go look up Boomerang. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. But basically, they took all the cartoons you grew up on, and that's where they go to die. All right, they just put it on Boomerang, and you just get to watch them and feel old as fuck. But so Looney Tunes, if you still don't know what that is, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Elmer Fudd, Marvin the Martian, all those guys, okay? They have this movie come out. And this movie came out, and why people are like so adamant about seeing it is because there was a movie that is complete. All right. It's completely done, finished, and Warner Brothers decided not to release it. All right. And the movie was called Coyote versus Acme. So Wile E. Coyote, basically the story of that is like for like 40, 50 fucking years, Wile E. Coyote's been trying to catch a Roadrunner using Acme products, and they never fucking work. They always blow up on them or they screw them over, some shit like that. So the point of the movie is basically like Wile E. Coyote says, you know what, fuck this. I'm taking out my vengeance on Acme. I'm coming for fucking Acme. All right. They've been screwing me for years, da-da-da. So that film is done, but it never got released. And the reason it never got released was because Warner Brothers was like, today's audience, won't make us enough money. They don't know a lot about Wile E. Coyote. They don't care about it. And so it blew up. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of advocates and likes and comments across all sorts of shit where people saying, give us fucking, Coyote, Wile E. Coyote versus Acme. And so they just ignored it. And then they released this one, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. What makes this one so special is that it's their highest tier form of animation they've ever done with Looney Tunes. Every single character has a unique voice actor where they actually use all the original voice actors of all of the characters ever in Looney Tunes in this movie. And so basically what I'm saying is I want to see Wile E. Coyote so bad versus Acme. I mean, that'll be like the pinnacle of my childhood. But I need this film to succeed. I need this film to be good. And I'll say it, man. I fucking hate Warner Brothers. I hate them. I absolutely hate them with all my fucking heart. I think they are the worst corporate entity. They have given me so many amazing classics, and they just have shit on so many things, and they've got so greedy and fucking money hungry. I can't let them kill Looney Tunes. I can't. They kill Looney Tunes, and that's it. That my heart will be officially fucking broken in two. So I don't know what the topic is here. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know where I'm going with this, but what are your thoughts, I guess, on a Looney Tunes movie? Jake or Ebert? Like, what do you think?
This looks really interesting. Okay. This is also recent news, too. And it's from a new distributor. There's a lot of new here, but then it's also a lot of old at the same time. It's a risk because it's fully 2D as well, right? So it's a fully 2D feature film that, wow, this is interesting. Where's Marvin? Where's Marvin? I don't see Marvin in this at all.
We don't know. That people are complaining
he's gotta
about
be
that
there
a little bit. They're saying,
okay.
yeah. People are saying you're like, yeah, okay, how the fuck, what do you mean? Someone's trying to destroy the planet and the Martian isn't fucking in it?
He's in it. He's in it. But
he's
this
gotta be in
looks really interesting. Interesting. So I'm trying to follow like exactly how it went down, but it feels like it was kind of a corporate nightmare for a little while, and then they're finally like, all right, fuck it, we're gonna go with this new person, we're gonna make it.
Yep.
Which it's crazy. So I've mentioned the Marvin 3D movie that was going to happen before. It was under the Warner Brothers umbrella. They canned it. So I mean, for you, like, I know why. Like, Warner WB is they're bad news. They're definitely not doing. They're not doing, I guess, the art's bidding. They're doing their own. I think that that was such a bummer to see, like, almost like a huge teaser for a 3D movie of Marvin the Martian that just got completely shelved and never saw the light of day again. So I hope to see this film out in the light of day for real. I love Looney Tunes. You can probably see influence of Looney Tunes in Ebert's artwork. You can almost like look at their old stereoscopic stuff and be like, I feel like a 2D version of Ebert could be flopping around in there. That would be pretty funny. But even just with like the boldness of the art and the simplicity of the wording and like all that stuff, you can, and even like the orange backdrop, you can see it's had such a profound influence on a lot of people, myself included. So this is another. Rain's dropping fire today. Yeah,
yeah, he is. He bombs today. It's going on. I wanted to ask how you really feel about Warner Brothers, but I think we got you.
Oh my god, bro! You ever want to get me pissed off? So like they put out an announcement like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Basically, it wasn't even them, but yeah, basically like someone tracked all their stuff. They basically came out and said, "Fuck everything they've ever made. They only want to maximize profits, so they're only going to be doing shit for Harry Potter, and like 2 other of their big IPs, and that's it.
Aquaman.
They like shut down a bunch of their game studios, all this shit, and they're like, nope, Harry Potter only. That's fucking it, and all this other shit. No, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and something else I can't remember. But yeah, and I'm just like in my head, I'm like, dude, like Harry Potter didn't make Warner Brothers. Game of Thrones didn't make Warner Brothers. Like, those were just IPs that, like, helped.
It was Looney Tunes, man.
Exactly,
that's what made Warner Brothers.
Like, they don't give a fuck about
the old water tower. I can never forget that as a kid.
Exactly, bro. And like, I'll never forget the movie. My favorite movie as a kid, bro, was the Blue Monkey. It was. We were talking about this, Bert. It was similar to Roger Rabbit, like cinema style, right? Where it's like the 2D with the real people. It stars Brendan Fraser. I gotta look this up. And hold up. Looney Tunes, Blue Monkey. Let me see this shit. I remember they needed the Blue Monkey. Oh, it's called Blue Monkey. It's a live action Looney Tunes starring Brendan Fraser when like he was in the peak. It's around like right when he got done with the Mummy and all that shit. And then basically, yeah, they go on a quest, Indiana Jones style shit with like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and shit. And they go to Vegas. And like Yosemite Sam's like a fucking drug pin gambler in fucking Vegas, and shit's going fucking down and all that stuff. And it's just like, don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. But yeah, man, Bert, tell us what we got cooking. Tell us what's going on. Fuck Warner Brothers. Looney Tunes better live forever.
I think fuck Warner Brothers is a really good place to leave this off on. It's why we're fucking doing what we're doing. It really is why we're doing what we're doing. I think that, okay, so there were a couple things that I wanted to announce. One in particular, I think that this whole conversation, it wasn't, again, I think that everything happens for a reason. This wasn't completely unintentional. I think that there's a lot of really interesting connections to what I wanted to talk about today that came from talking about movies, what's coming out, what these kind of big umbrella production companies are making. Why they're making it. Are they just maximizing profits? Are they trying to make good characters? Are they trying to curate good art? Or are they trying to line people's pockets? So I just dropped an image into our Telegram. I'm also going to drop it into Discord. And I think that it's just, again, this is a general thing. And I think that most of you already know this. But if you don't know this, I think it's important to talk about and relate back to like our vision as what Who is Ebert is and how Who is Ebert relates to the bigger picture here. A Web3 Pixar or a Web3 Disney or a Web3 WB or a Web3 fill in the blank has not existed. I think that there are some original IPs in the Web3 space that have come about, but I don't think that they have the same idea in mind as we do. I think that what we want to do is create really the first version of a Web3 Pixar. Who is Ebert is part of something that is much, much bigger. Muon Inc. is really the umbrella to what Who is Ebert is. Every single IP that we make will have a token, and every single token holder will benefit from holding that token. I think that it's difficult because we play the Web3 tug of war. Time is hard in Web3. We're supposed to kind of move fast and act quickly, but some things take longer than others. It took a long time to build WB. It took a long time to build Ilara. It took a long time to build A24. Muon is our A24. Muon is our Pixar. We get to decide what we make, when we make it, how we make it, and also who gets to benefit from it. No longer does a board of people at WB decide to do reruns of Ebert for the next 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Now we can distribute and make IPs the way that we want to, and we can use the tokenized versions of our IPs to benefit holders. That is what we've always wanted to do, but it's important that you can all see what this vision looks like in real time. Who is Ebert, again, is part of a bigger picture. Who is Ebert is our flagship IP. I've been working on him for years, but what I've always wanted to do is disrupt an industry that is riddled with corruption, riddled with corporate and political and geopolitical narratives that weave its way into the content that we see in theaters, that we see at home, that we see on streaming services, that we see everywhere. And I think that the challenge that we face as kind of a first to market project or a first to market company like this is just, can we persist the test of time? Can we make it? And yeah, you bet your ass we can, because we're building something really big. And big things do take time, but I think that this vision is real. This vision is going to piss a lot of people off, but it's also going to democratize IP in a way that the world needs to kind of happen. Otherwise, content will be owned and kind of directed in the way that the people up top want it to be directed towards. It's why, like, I brought up the thing about the Oscars, because that's good news for us. People are looking at independent media. They're looking at smaller IP projects and saying, well, what are they doing? There are a lot of people in here who have seen part of our proof of concept film. The stuff in that proof of concept film looks like very expensive animation. And I kid you not, to get to that point and then to be at this stage here where we can now use that as an asset to sell this vision is a damn good thing. And yeah, the market is shit. We've been going through, some downturns in the market because of the economy and the tariffs and all the bullshit, right? But it has not stopped us from pursuing this vision. I've been grinding really, really hard. And it's, again, I've been a little quieter in Telegram. It's been harder for me to stay really on top of everything, but crystallizing this vision has been at the top of my list for the last couple months. And also bringing this film to the finish line has also been top of mind for me. And we're very, very, very close. So take a look at this chart. If you guys have any questions about what this is and kind of how it works, it should be super simple. Again, there's a lot of nuance to this. HG and I have been talking about this for weeks now, like where the nuance is and how we do this and that. But the simple way of looking at it is if Muon is Pixar, then Ebert is our own version of Wall-E. And we have a bunch of other characters that have their own tokens. And those are all IPs that we can curate and build and public test, and we don't have to report to anyone to do it. So I wanted to leave off on that note, because I think that it's important to remind us about what our vision is. It's just important to kind of relate things back to what we're building. And I think that as you build in Web3, I think your project, your company, what you're building can tend to crystallize over time as you kind of learn the space and as you figure out exactly what the space is giving you back. So I think that this vision of Muon and this vision of what Muon Inc. will do and what it will make and how it will make it and how it will tokenize these IPs has been kind of, something that has taken form, I would say, over the last year in my mind. But now that we can really look at this and see, okay, this is what they're making, I think is a very exciting thing. Ebert he's part of this bigger puzzle. He's part of this bigger picture. And I think that you guys are here still at a very interesting time when new businesses like this are forming and trying to do things in this on-chain world. And IP in the on-chain economy is very thin right now. There's not a lot of competition. So I think that, we're going to continue to battle against that and make sure that what we're making really rises to the top and is found and is seen by people who need to see it, and that they understand what this vision of Muon is, and how we intend to really change it up and to really, like, what we think is to democratize IP to the world and allow fans of a character to be part of it really for the first time ever. So I think that this is probably a good place to leave it on. Jake, Rain, I think that you both have seen versions of this chart, but again, it's a simple image, but I think it's a simple image that says a lot. And you guys have been here for a long time. You know what this vision is. You've seen part of our proof of concept film. You know what we're building toward. And I can't stress enough how excited I am to continue that mission, and to just keep showing up and keep grinding, because that we're making things happen. We're growing, and we're going to change things for the better.
Damn. Well, I'll go. I'll wait for Rain, but I'll go. So the way I look, it's a beautiful way to, I would say, capstone the space. We know you've been, after what I've just seen, we know you've been busting your ass in the background, Ebert, with a lot of work going on. And that work is going to show very soon to everyone here that's on the space listening, and it's recorded. So the folks that are listening later, I think you'll be up on YouTube as well. It will show very quickly the volume. We're talking about masters of cinema, Chris Nolan being one of them, not to discredit a lot of others, wonderful directors that are up and coming, actors, actresses, so on and so forth. And even the art of production, which I'm learning a ton about, is, it's a wild experience to learn how to produce one scene to another, not coming from this industry. And so when you're about to see very soon is, I don't know if directorship's a word, maybe, I don't know, directorship. You're going to see quality production. You see custom art that is inserted into this production, and then you're going to see the go-to-market pathway very quickly, soon afterwards, of where it makes sense to connect these dots. And then I guess how I'll wrap it up is, Ebert is the first film series that will then be deployed in our general market of cinema under the umbrella of Muon Productions, which we are turning into the Web3 Pixar Venture Studio. And we'll then be able to incubate other projects later on that'll have their token backing them. And it's a wild experience to see the first film at its inception. For me, as a founder and as a developer, just to see this firsthand is a very wild experience and a wild ride. But that's what's really happening. Just so you guys know, turning into a Web3 Pixar Venture Studio, Ebert then is the first film that we'll take to market. And it's already making waves. So what you're about to see is just going to be mind-blowing. It's already blown my mind. And that's pretty hard to do when it comes to things I've just seen. But I will say it'd be really cool to do a cameo. We talk about Looney Tunes. It'd be awesome to do a cameo with Looney Tunes. If we could do something like that one day.
Be amazing.
Damn, right? I mean, as opposed to the lion roaring, we have Ebert like trying to roar, but he's looking around. I don't know, like the multicolored circles going behind him. Damn, right?
And it's just silent.
Yeah, just silent, right? Or you hear like a buzz, like a zzz in the background. So I love this space. Rain, you're on fire today, dropping bombs. I always love jamming with you, man. If we want to change up some Discord stuff, just ping me. Let's change things and make it how we want it to be in there. Discuss some film ideas. Ebert, I know you dropped some films you've been vibing on lately. I have not seen any of those. So I got work to do. I'm trying to finish Game of Thrones again. I haven't seen it in like 8 years, so I wanted to finish it. But with that, it's always a pleasure being up here on Space from the Deep, episode 21. Unleash some chaos. Rain, I think you brought the chaos today. So I am grateful for you, brother. I hope you're doing well for your week. Let your light shine bright. We'll see you next Friday for the next one.
I'm good. You guys killed it. I'm good. I'm speechless. I'm ready to run through a fucking wall.
I'm about to do the same thing.
I'm
episode 21. I had a quick question before we actually no. I'm gonna hit you guys up after. We appreciate all you guys for being on here. Thank you for listening to us rant. There are some good movies that got dropped on here today, and also we're dropping them in Discord in case you guys wanted some recommendations. But we appreciate everyone. Thank you again for coming to episode 21 of Space from the Deep. Next week, episode 22, we got to do something special. If you're a numerology Bert, maybe we'll do something interesting about numbers for the Bertathon. Hint, hint. All right, we love you all. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.